Yeah. I got someone here to tell you so, okay? Hey, baby. I'll come back and check on you later. Come here. Are you sure you have a minute? I'll make it a little bit slow. You got to. I'm going to get it off. I get it off. I get it off. I get it off. I can't do it yet. I can't do it. I can't. I cannot do this. I can't do it. I can't. You can't do it. I can't. And I can't do it here. I cannot stay here. I cannot stay much longer. I cannot. I don't know where I'm going, but I've got to have a car because I am not staying. I cannot. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't know how I able to. I don't know. If I could leave your house to get it, I can't survive. If I could just do something to get out of this, I would. I can't do this. I cannot do this. I can't do that. That's not one of it. I'm not going to. That's on all understand. You just can't do that. I can't do that. I cannot do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't. I can't. I can never finish Caleb. I can't do this. I can't. She'll be happy without me here. There's another hope. Rebecca. Aiden. Just tell the neighbor to call you. Rebecca called me. She came up on it somehow. She was there because I was supposed to take him and stop it. And they were late. And if they had been there an hour earlier, maybe it would have been too late. But it was just my fault. I just forgot. And you hear about it all the time. But not me, not twice. They're two completely different things.
Still with us, trial attorney Robert Hilla. Talk about devastation. Robert, I just want to put my head on the table and cry along with her. She can barely get her words out. She's so devastated this has happened. So first of all, how impactful is that type of testimony to a jury?
Well, I think it's going to be critical here. Obviously, credibility is going to play a pivotal role, and this is going to be it for her. This is not a complicated case. And the jurors have to decide whether she disregarded foreseeable consequences of her act, or what do they do with this case if they just believe she forgot? This defendant blames herself. She would probably feel she deserves prison. And the jury's got to wrestle with that. This has got to be the most painful part of this case, other than having to address the circumstances of the child's death.
I I agree with you. And Robert, you can see there at the defense table, we don't see her from the front, but it sure does look like she's crying throughout this. And quite frankly, we would love to see this kind of remorse, regret, devastation by every criminal defendant who's accused of killing someone and then convicted. But we don't. So it's a little bit unique in terms of a lot of the trials that we cover. But if you would also talk about the legalities, that what you just mentioned, did she forget? An accident, if the jury says this was an accident versus criminal negligence, same thing or different?
Well, criminal negligence is defined as something greater than ordinary negligence. And, and again, they say culpable negligence. The jury's going to look at criminal negligence. That's the way they're probably going to discuss it when they're deliberating. So, for you to have criminal culpability here, she had to have a disregard for foreseeable consequences. We know she was involved in the death, and there was a death. And that's going to be pivotal. Foreseeable consequences isn't an objective reasonableness standard for the community to measure what they believe it should be, not what she thinks, what the defendant thinks is going to be irrelevant. But the disregard is going to be, I think, the thing that jury's going to wrestle with. If they sympathize with her or understand her, what are grandparents and parents on that jury? How are they going to respond to this statement that she was giving to the officers in terms of whether she disregarded any reasonable foreseeability that her granddaughter was going to die like this?
Yeah.
I just think it could be a stretch.
This is a tough case for us to cover, for the jury to have to decide. Keeping in mind, Robert, as you well know, the first death is not being allowed into evidence. So the jury is not going to have evidence of what happened to the first one. All right, unfortunately, out of time. Robert Hilla, thank you as always for joining me, your great expertise. Coming up next, of course, Michael Ayala joining me for more from the Forgetful Grandmother manslaughter trial for Tracy Nix.
I have a structured settlement and I call J.G. Wentworth 877 cash now.
I have an annuity, but I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth 877 cash now.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Call J.G. Wentworth 877.
Call 877 cash now to get a $100 gift card for a free quote.
Vehicle breakdowns are costly.
It started making some really weird noises.
If your check engine light comes on tomorrow, the repair could easily cost thousands.
Is that transmission?
But with Endurance, you could never pay out of pocket for a costly repair again.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
$1,400. Endurance paid it.
Who's going to pay for your next car repair? You or Endurance?
Call right now to get $300 off any plan. Call now.
The debate continues.
A waterline break will cost over $2,800 to fix. Get HomeServe to save money on repairs.
Want this guy doing the job? We'll send a qualified contractor quickly so you get HomeServe for less hassle.
Plans from HomeServe start at just $4.99 a month.
1, 2, 3, hold out!
I am proud to be able to be on the first ever HBCU gymnastics team.
This is how we'll do it!
To be able to show off my talents at a HBCU is very honoring. I wanted to be a reporter since I was 4 years old. I always knew that I wanted to tell stories. I feel really proud that I work at Scripps News. Our reporters get to delve into the topics that we care about and that we want to dig deeper into. There's a real investment in going where the stories are, giving people the full picture, reporting what is happening firsthand. Alex Miller, Scripps News, New York.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
What drew me to Court TV was this opportunity to combine the two things that I love. When I was in college, I studied television and radio, and then, of course, went to law school. And when I found out that Court TV was going to give me the opportunity to express myself and to share my love of the law, I was sold immediately.
The most important issue, innocence or guilt.
Started as a production assistant, then AP, and then went up the ranks, and really haven't looked back since.
Ion is on with 3 networks to enjoy.
Yeah, it's on.
Yes, showtime.
You're going to want to see this.
It's on.
Ion, Ion Plus, and Ion Mystery.
Wow!
It's on.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My pa's the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifleman. Just make it good.
TV Live, I'm Ashley Wilcott.
And I'm Michael Ayala. We're both here today giving you your front row seat to justice. We are following several major trials this afternoon here at Court TV.
In Florida, day one of testimony is underway in the Forgetful Grandmother manslaughter trial, where 67-year-old Tracy Nix is accused of leaving her 7-month-old granddaughter to die in a hot car.
And in Tennessee, day two of testimony is underway for a man accused of fatally stabbing a young woman and then stuffing her body into a suitcase.
In New Hampshire, Victor Rivera was found guilty last hour in the bad breakup murder trial. He faces life in prison for the double murder of his ex-girlfriend and her new boyfriend.
Of course, we'll keep you updated on all these trials throughout the day, but for now, we're heading back to Florida, where we've been listening to defendant Tracy Nix's police interview. It's been devastating.
Yeah.
I heard you talking about it, just listening to it. It's very
hard.
difficult. This is a tough case, but we're going to go back in now to hear more of that interview.
Her son, the oldest is A-Y-D, okay. And then there's a younger one, Cooper, C-O-O-P-E-R. Are you getting both of them? No. Which one are you getting? Just Aiden? Okay. And so you said that they were behind an hour. What time are they supposed to? I was hoping to leave around 3:30. Okay. And so it was 3:30 and 4, and it was after 4:30, and the guy in the car said that I would be there when they were feeding the pig and we could go. Okay. Pigs back behind the bars. Yes, ma'am. Okay. So they were coming out to your house to meet you. Okay. Because they were there when the Falcon was realized when it happened. So they were there? Okay. And who all was there? David took around and was talking to me. He stopped the lower and I was still sitting in the car before I realized that she was still in there. Then Rebecca and Ada had started feeding the pigs. And then there were rubber men putting the new roof on her house. Okay, so Rebecca, Aiden, and your husband were all there. Yes. And then Rebecca took Aiden home real quickly. Okay. So about 4:30 is when you went out to the vehicle. About how long after 4:30 did you realize that she was in the car? I sat and talked today for probably 5 to 10 minutes with him sitting on the mower and me sitting in the car. And then I got out because Rebecca Aiden had come up and I was going to see if I could help them. And all of a sudden I realized I just had that flash of what had happened a year ago. And then all of a sudden, I realized he's opened the door. Maybe like 15, 20 minutes? 10. Probably 10, okay. What was the first thing you did when you noticed? I cried and I was afraid. And the day got around. And I went around to the other side of the bar where you found me. I was just, praying and I really I did call 911. But my dad said, when I went around the place around the barn, lights were already there.
Okay. So you went around the barn and you called 911.
I went around the back side of the barn.
Okay.
I was scared.
I know. You're doing a really good job, so I appreciate it. How old is Aiden?
12.
And how old is Cooper?
10.
And does Kayla have any other children? Asher. How old is Asher?
She's 3. She's 3.
So your husband and who got Uriel out of the car?
Yes.
Okay. Did he say anything?
He panicked like I did. He started giving her CPR. And begging her to breathe.
And you said EMS showed up pretty quickly.
I don't know who it was or just saw lights.
Okay, so lights showed up pretty quickly if you called 911?
Yeah.
Okay.
The day had actually, by the time I had called 911, they were there, which makes me think Rebecca must have also called.
She did. Have you talked to Rebecca? Called me. Okay. That's how I made it come. I'm like the second mother. Okay. And I had just talked to her because it's the wedding anniversary. I had just talked to her.
Think about that.
It's the matter past. I gave her this money and we split it.
Oh, it's so kind of crazy.
Now, Miss Tracy, you told me that you normally get Uriel about 1 day a week?
Usually once, maybe twice. And last week I had her 4 times because Kayla has not been well.
Okay. Now, is it always the same day or sporadic?
Often it's the first of the week, but it's sporadic.
Okay.
Often it's Monday or Tuesday. I can't believe I didn't remember which it's okay.
I would need it if I write it on my calendar. I look at it every day or I wouldn't do anything. I even put how old they are. Each time it's their birthday, they never remember how old they are. His birthday, and neither did what's his name, Jonathan's other friend. Tanner. I showed them on the store and they didn't know either.
Is it ever been difficult for you to keep the baby? Okay. So she's alive. Okay.
You know, Michael, as we're listening to this, I just have to comment before we bring in our guest. I think there's no doubt that this grandmother was absolutely devastated when this happened.
Yeah, one could argue these cases are always tough because you have a victim, right? The mother of the child, and it's the daughter of the defendant. Everyone in the family is suffering, and you know, when you think about victimhood in that way, it's like, maybe that's enough for this woman.
Is that justice?
They've just been listening to 10 minutes of her crying and just being devastated by this thing. Doesn't feel like an act, you know what I mean? So that's what I think complicates this case for not only the prosecutors, but the jury as well.
Yeah, the jury as well, for sure. Let's welcome our guest, criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Wolf. Of course, Jeffrey, thank you for joining us. We're going to keep an eye on the courtroom there. We haven't been able to show the video because of the court's order, obviously listening, but I do wonder, this is being played by the prosecution. She admits in it and that this happened, that she left the baby in the car. But do you think, Jeffrey, that playing all of this is more helpful to the defense? Because I think it makes you sympathetic with the defendant.
Well, I think that what the prosecution is going to do is they're going to rely on what they always rely on, which is that there's going to be a jury instruction that tells this jury that they're not allowed to sympathize with the defendant, that they're not allowed to weigh their sympathies versus what the judge is going to instruct them on guilt, innocence, and the mens rea of recklessness that she's being charged with, that her actions were reckless. And it doesn't matter if you sympathize with her, that this was a tragedy, but that her actions caused this death. And, you know, these are tough cases, like you and Michael are saying, Ashley, but we have a dead child here, and that's what the prosecutor is going to say. And a good defense attorney is going to lean into these sympathies without telling the jury to rely on their sympathy, because you're not allowed to do that. And so you have to kind of walk that tightrope as a defense attorney and hope that Miss Nix is going to get the benefit of some of those sympathies without having to ask for it.
Jeffrey, you've tried many, many cases. I'm sure you've had instances where the issue of mens rea comes up. And it's interesting in this case because when you have these types of cases, you don't necessarily need intent. No, actually, I'm not going to say not necessarily. You do not need intent. But there is some sense, and the defense certainly argued this in some of their pretrial motions, that there has to be some form of knowing, that you kind of know that you've left them in the car and that maybe you're trying to run in and get your nails done without being bothered by the kid, et cetera, et cetera. There's really not that here. Is that an area where you think the defense can sort of rest an argument that will resonate with the jury?
Well, that's what you hope for, right? When you're talking about these reckless and negligence cases, is you're looking at the standard that you would ask a juror to put themselves into, right? You don't want them to put themselves in the feet of this defendant, but you want to put themselves in a reasonable person standard. What would be reckless and what would be negligent? If you are taking care of a small child, what actions could you take that would not be reckless and would not be negligent? Is it possible that you could forget? Is it possible that there is an amount of time you could step away and not be reckless and not be negligent? It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. I think that these cases where you see these kids left in cars, jurors have a very, very hard time with that. They have a lot of difficulty with that, especially because what we're going to get to soon in a case like this is we're going to get to the autopsy, and we're going to hear exactly what a child goes through in that circumstance, and it's going to be really gruesome.
It's horrific.
It's going to be gruesome. And what's interesting, to your point, Jeffrey and Judge, The statute, the second one, not the aggravated manslaughter, but the second statute of leaving a child in a car actually does contemplate the idea of how long it is to leave a child in a car. They say it's 15 minutes.
Right.
So they give you this 15-minute window, I guess,
That it's
realizing
okay.
that it's okay. It's not a crime within that 15 minutes. But after 15 minutes, that's when it becomes a crime. So in fact, they do contemplate some sense of knowingness.
And that's interesting because not every state does that. Again, these are the state laws they have to rely on. All right, stay with us. We are going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get back inside the courtroom for more of the defendant's police interview. Stay tuned.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, 2 grandchildren died under her care. Now a grandmother stands trial for one of these deaths. We're diving deeper as this tragic case gets underway.
Closing Arguments, tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
People wanted answers, and people started locking their doors.
You know what it means. You know what you did, right?
Please hear me out. Please.
I said, OJ, everybody thinks you're guilty.
I have a structured settlement and call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
I have an annuity, but I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877.
Call 877 cash now to get a $100 gift card for a free quote.
Vehicle breakdowns are costly, but with Endurance, you could never pay out of pocket for a costly repair again.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
Don't wait. Visit EnduranceWarranty.com for $300 off any plan.
The only thing on the road faster than a race car are rising car repair costs. But with Endurance, you'll never pay for covered car repairs again.
Just 2 claims saved us over $1,700.
If I didn't have Endurance, I would have paid over $7,000 out of pocket to repair my vehicle.
So make the call. Find out how much you could save with Endurance.
Call right now to get $300 off any plan.
Call 1-833-491-1666 now.
You go get him, Tiger. Oh, yeah.
Growing up, my mom was a local news anchor, and even when I was little, I saw my mom speak to people that you would never get an opportunity to speak with. That seemed interesting and also fulfilling to me. What set Scripps News apart, we traveled to the story. We talked to the people on the ground to bring the viewer details that impacts actual people's lives.
Liz Landers, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Jesse Palmer?
So you do remember me, and I know you haven't been watching.
TV's expensive.
Not with Tableau. Pay once and watch happily ever after. You can record too. Learn more at TableauTV.com. It's not fantasy, it's reality.
1, 2, 3, hold out! I am proud to be able to be on the first ever HBCU gymnastics team. This is how we'll do it! To be able to show off my talents at a HBCU is very honoring.
I'm a judge. I loved being on the bench. I want viewers to see that, to know what it's like to love being in a courtroom and to love watching what happens in a courtroom.
This is a case where I think you can believe either side based on the evidence being presented.
Here at Court TV, we can show you everything. And I hope at the end of the day, they've learned a little something about what it takes to try a case and why it's so important that it's done well.
officer show up at your door?
He showed up at my door to notify me that my child was deceased. His words were, "Your baby is dead. Your daughter is dead. Your child is deceased, and we need you to come with us."
A mother's worst nightmare happening twice in 2 years, and worst of all, under the care of her own mother.
That was Kayla Nix, who on November 1st of 2022 left her daughter Uriel in the care of her mother, 67-year-old Tracy Nix, only to come home to find her dead after being left in a hot car.
And just a year prior, Nix lost another child who wandered off into a neighbor's pond and drowned while her mom was supposed to be babysitting. But the jury will not be hearing about that incident during this trial, and Grandma was never charged in that case.
That's right. It was an accident, and they left it at that. Right now, we want to get you back into the courtroom. We are listening to the defendant Tracy Nix's police interview. Again, we cannot show you the video pursuant to a court order, but let's go back in to hear more.
After I realized what was going on before, no one was a kid, and I had texted Rebecca and asked her if they were about to come, and then I called her and she didn't answer, and I texted Aiden and asked him, turn my phone on, please. Texted Aiden and asked him how far away they were. I was just getting impatient. I was ready for them to come on.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
His mom's birthday, 10/02/18. And they go to my Rebecca and they did both.
Okay. I'm just going to take a couple of snapshots real quick, okay? Okay. Very end. But that's, I just want to. Who is that today?
That's JD. JD Dorado. She texted me and asked me.
We need Aiden.
Yeah, Aiden and Rebecca.
All right. Now I see though that JD, Jane Durando, she texted you.
She did. And I read it, but I don't think I responded to her.
Okay, and I see in the first text at 7 in the morning. I understand. Okay, so just for, I'm going to put on there, didn't see it. All right, and then I'm just going to go into your call log, because you said you called, right?
I did call Rebecca. She didn't answer.
I see that, okay. I'm just going to go to that. Okay. So what I'm going to do, we're going to get out of here shortly, okay? I'm not going to take you home. I'm going to take you from one safe place to the next, all right? So I want you just to give me a couple minutes to get something ready, and we'll get out of here, okay?
I had asked her if she needed to talk to her doctor for any reason. I don't know any kind of protocol. And he's up on everything until today. And her medication and all that.
Okay.
It's John Gill.
John Gill? Okay. Okay.
safety. I don't know. I just don't want her in the beginning anything that John would approve of. We can't. She was also beautiful. Don't forget, I just can't let her out. I do anything to make it better, including giving my own soul. I don't want to be treated with the I need to turn it off. Oh God, I just can't believe it. You can't do it by yourself. Okay, nobody can do it by themselves. Whatever you don't want to do is what you need. I need to not be here. I wish you could turn everybody else. Just lay your face and your face right in front of you. Live for that. Just live for that. It's the biggest choice in the family. Just destroy their heartbroken for you and for Kayla and I'm sure. That's They was laid over here and crying, begging to be free.
All right, let's bring back in our guest, criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Wolf. Jeffrey, again, I have to go to the point where I think is going to be the real issue in that deliberating room, and that's her mindset. There seems to be perhaps an intimation by the defense. They might argue that, again, she's 65. There may have been some senility. It may have been enhanced by some medication she was taking. And when you look at the statute, you talk about for the aggravated manslaughter, it requires culpable negligence, which is defined as gross and flagrant. And again, I think that's where this jury is going to have to find their arguments in terms of, will they be able to add those words to her negligence? Because we know there was negligence, but because of who she is, because of some of the situations she was facing, will it rise to the level of gross and flagrant?
Right, and that's, again, Michael, where we get into this reasonable person standard that jurors often find themselves having to do, because they're not going to be able to put themselves in the shoes of the defendant. They're going to have to say, what would a reasonable grandmother do in this circumstance? What would be reasonable? That's where gross and flagrant comes into play. Is this something that is so outside the norm of what a reasonable grandmother would do in that circumstance that it rises to the level of reckless and this culpable negligence that you're mentioning? That is the standard, and that's what the jury's going to have to argue back in the jury room. And I don't know. I think it's tough, because when you talk about being, absent-minded or forgetful, and you're talking about your grandchild being gone from you for hours out in the back seat of your car, I think that's going to be a really tough one for people to shake hands with their conscience on when they're back in the jury room. I think this is a really tough case because this woman is obviously extremely regretful for what has happened, and she's mourning her grandchild in this interview. There's no question about that. There's no question. But when you get back into the jury room and you're talking about a reasonable grandmother and the actions that took place that led to this death, and was it reasonable, and is there culpable negligence, and is this a gross deviation from the way a reasonable grandmother would behave? Hours without your grandchild and not knowing where your grandchild is and forgetting that you had your grandchild in your care for that long, that's pretty exceptional. The defense is going to have to present some pretty persuasive evidence that this was something created by either her mental state or by her medication, something. I noticed there's some sort of coin sitting on the table. I wonder what that is. Is it a chip of sobriety? What's going on the table there?
Yeah, I don't know either.
Watch this.
No, but I noticed too that she's been playing with it a lot, rubbing on it a lot, Jeffrey. A really great question. But also I have to say, this is why jury selection is so important. Because reasonable grandmother, if you have grandparents on the jury, they have that perspective. And if you have a younger person who has a grandparent who's senile, guess what they're going to bring to the table? The reasonable grandparent they know.
Yeah, and I think Jeffrey makes a fantastic point, because I was thinking, hey, we've all done this on some level where you might leave something or that you shouldn't be leaving in the car, whether it's a child or something else, you know, not as dangerous. But it's the length of time.
Yeah.
I think the length of time. There's that coin that's on the table there. Could be a good luck charm, could be a sobriety thing. I don't think anything came up about her having some sort of addiction issue.
No,
so
not that we've heard.
I don't know if it's that. So, but
could be, you know, it could be in memory of. You know, sometimes people make things in memory of children. It could be that. We don't know. Good question. Good. Very observant of you, Jeffrey.
All right, we're going to take a break here, folks. Coming up, we're going to head to Tennessee for day 2 of testimony in the Suitcase by the River murder trial for Jason Chen. So keep it here on Court TV. We'll be right back.
Give me something new. I want the real you.
That is the best idea I've ever heard.
Yes, of course we can get you more. Rex, go!
Angus MacGyver.
You know that was fun.
Just give me more.
Everyone leaves a trail. All day Sunday on Court TV.
All of a sudden he disappeared.
The FBI's most dangerous cases.
The individuals were identified as vicious killers.
Back to back to back.
What was going through my mind is just chaos.
Bam, they were dead.
We were dealing with somebody who was very brazen in his criminal activity. It's just the game we're gonna play.
The FBI Files. All day Sunday on Court TV.
Growing up, my mom was a local news anchor, and even when I was little, I saw my mom speak to people that you would never get an opportunity to speak with. That seemed interesting and also fulfilling to me. What sets Scripps News apart, we travel to the story. We talk to the people on the ground to bring the viewer details that impacts actual people's lives.
Liz Landers, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Bounce elevates and celebrates the achievements of HBCUs all year long.
From the classroom to the field, we are making history.
Bounce HBCU Yearbook.
Mondays. First you moved in, you banned cigar smoke and kitchen nudity.
Oscar Madison.
Just doing my daily yoga.
Felix Unger.
You're not exactly a guy's guy.
Why? Because I use coasters? I'm an accomplished photographer. Perfect, let's start shooting. And I can make a pair of tap shoes talk. What do you say, boys?
Together, they're the odd couple.
Here, hold that.
Oscar, is that coffee? I just cleaned the rug.
Better not move.
The Odd Couple. Mondays starting 7/6 Central on Laugh More.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My pa's the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifleman. Just make it good.
Start watching TV for free with Tableau.
Switching to Tableau has really been a money saver.
With Tableau, I can record something on my phone, I can pause it, I can go get a drink, I can come back, I can continue in the family room.
Order today at tablotv.com.
2 hands can move a mountain, 2 more and you can move the earth. I got you now, I'm never gonna let you go, no, no.
It's on.
To Tennessee for our other live trial, the Suitcase by the River murder trial.
Defendant Jason Chen is charged with stabbing to death 22-year-old Jasmine Jazzy Pace sometime in late 2022.
After Pace's mother noticed her daughter was missing, she broke into Chen's home and found evidence of foul play.
Now, the day after Chen was arrested, Pace's body was found handcuffed inside of a suitcase along a riverbank not far from Chen's apartment.
Before we get you into court, here's Court TV field reporter Cody Thomas with more on the case against Jason Chen.
It's your own volition to go into the apartment yourself all 3 times.
Yes, it was my desperate desire to find my daughter. And however, whatever I had to do to find her, I needed to do.
In late 2022, Katrina Pace was so desperate to find her missing daughter Jasmine that she tracked her location to an apartment in Chattanooga belonging to a man Jasmine was getting to know, and she broke in 3 times, taking items from inside. Local affiliate WTVC captured her testimony at a pretrial hearing.
Was phones, tablets, so I could take them home, see if one would turn on. It was my daughter's. Took his notebooks to see if maybe he wrote a note. Anything that I thought could be to help someone find her.
Also found in that apartment, Jasmine's IDs and a knife, but Jasmine was not there.
It came to our attention through the course of the investigation that a suspect was identified, Mr. Jason Chen. There was evidence located at Mr. Chen's apartment that led the Chattanooga Police Department to identify him as a legitimate suspect.
Eventually, Jasmine would be found inside a suitcase along a riverbank. She was wrapped in 3 large trash bags, her ankles handcuffed to her right wrist and arm. She had been stabbed 60 times.
The last known location that we have for Jasmine would be at Jason Chen's apartment.
Jason Chen was located at his home in Williamson County last night. He currently is in custody, and charges have been taken out for criminal homicide in the county of Hamilton. The state of Tennessee is pursuing first-degree murder charges based on the evidence that we have at this time.
Chen, who is now 24, pleaded not guilty and has been held on a $5 million bond, one of the highest ever in Hamilton County, Tennessee.
All right, we're going to head into court now. On the stand is an investigator, the lead investigator, by the name of Zach Crawford, and he's testifying to evidence photos of the crime scene. Let's go back in.
Investigator Crawford, if you can, again, just instruct the jury as to what we're looking at in this photo at this point.
Yes, this is a photograph from essentially standing within the bathroom area looking back into the main bedroom or the single bedroom of that apartment. You can tell based on the other photographs that you've seen up to this point that the flooring is different and items have been removed. At this point you can see the subflooring, you can see a mattress pad and other objects that have been removed from the bathroom. That's the actual bathroom scene here as well.
127-2. What do we have here?
This is going to be the carpeted section from the bedroom. This is going to be the bathroom area leading into the bedroom. This will be the left-hand side. In earlier photographs of the original execution of the search warrant, the bed would actually have been located in this area right here.
So is this evidence that you did not find when you were in the apartment on the 28th of November?
That's correct.
Because the bed was there.
There was a bed placed over top. The other things that are different this time, at the time that the search warrant was executed, it appeared that the lights that were placed in there were aftermarket of some sort. They had a lighter hue to them. It was not a very well lit apartment. So a lot of things we did by way of flashlight at the time. Once they reclaimed the apartment, they put new lights in there for the assistance of renovation, so it was a lot brighter. I could actually observe a lot more things at this point in time than having to use just a flashlight and then lighting the apartment. So we did originally look under the bed for potential items of evidence. In this picture with the lighting as such, it's obviously more clear that there is a dark discoloration at this point. That night, myself or crime scene investigators did not identify that.
And did it also come to your attention through other evidence that Mr. Chen's bed before 11/23/2022 was not in the position it was when the search warrant was executed?
Correct. When I re-entered the apartment after being granted by the apartment management to go back in and further process that scene with the well-lit lighting, I observed a few different things. Obviously, the dark discoloration was different than I originally observed. Not different, but I didn't observe it based on the lighting. Another thing is I could tell, originally I remember we talked about the potential, this splatter of some sort of an unknown substance. There's actually just above this picture, there's an oil stain a few feet off the ground that runs the length of it. I knew through investigative experience, through personal experience being a homeowner, that the length of it was consistent with the top of where your headboard meets the wall. When you sit up in bed, it's involuntary, but it happens. You rub your head against the back of the wall and an oil stain begins to build up there, especially for how long potentially you had that bed or that item to place at that location. I observed that on the wall as upon entry, and instantly you will see in this area back behind what this is actually the tile that was taken from the bathroom area. It's just the bottom, the mortared section of the bottom of the tiles has been filled back and left here. There's going to be the original bed frame still in that room. Most all the items were taken out by the family before the apartment was reclaimed. And then certain items were left there. So they were going to eventually get rid of that bed frame, but it was still in place during our discovery, which the bed frame itself, I observed it, the headboard, to be consistent with the oil stain that I saw on the wall.
And then the jury's already seen Exhibit 117. This was a photo you located on Jason's phone, correct?
Yes, that would have been, I did not observe that photograph particularly until after this secondary going back to the scene, due to there was approximately almost 10,000 images in the cellular device.
What is the blue matter that you can see coming out from under the carpet?
That's going to be the padding between the subfloor and the actual carpeted area. If you're not familiar, some carpet has it built in. Some, the way you lay carpet down, obviously you don't carpet directly on the subfloor because it'll be hard and not as comfortable to walk on. This is going to be the padding for the bottom of the carpet that was in place prior to them starting to cut some of the other areas out.
And underneath the blue padding would have been what?
Underneath the blue padding would have been the subflooring itself. The wood.
State's Exhibit 127-3. Explain to the jury what we're seeing here.
This is going to be the carpet section as it's pulled back. You can see I pointed out a reddish brown color, a discoloration in the carpeted area where the bed was placed earlier during our first search of the apartment. After the carpet was further peeled back, you can see a larger reddish brown discoloration that's consistent with blood. And you can see that that discoloration also then seeps directly back into the carpet or to the padding as well.
Based on your experience as a homicide investigator, what does that substance look like to you?
Blood.
Well, I think this points to the cover-up by the defendant after the fact, Michael, because we know those blood stains, the event happened in November.
Yeah.
Those were covered up by his bed. They come in to work on the apartment, the owners do, in January and call the police to say, we moved the bed and look what we found.
Yeah, from the defense perspective, it really points to the lack of investigation by the police, which is helpful to the defense.
Yes.
Because when they went through the apartment the first time, they didn't even notice it, even if it was under a bed.
Yeah,
they should have moved stuff around and seen what was there. So, you know, it really creates some problems.
Yes, it does. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, of course, we'll get you back inside the courtroom for more of the testimony.
Ponzi scheme and a deadly poisoning.
A former pharmacist already convicted in a federal fraud case.
Now stands trial for the murder of her husband.
The financial crime gives rise to motive.
Did Natalie Cochran kill to cover up other crimes?
We're not here to obtain convictions. We're here to obtain the truth.
Now a jury will decide her fate, and Court TV will bring you every minute.
The Ponzi scheme murder trial. Live coverage begins this week, only on Court TV.
Homeowners, when your water or sewer line breaks, it's expensive and often not covered by basic homeowners insurance.
You could pay thousands.
Finding a good contractor can be tough.
Want this guy doing the job?
With a plan from HomeServe, call us. We'll send a contractor and there's no big bill.
Easy.
But don't wait. Get a plan from HomeServe before a line breaks.
Go online now.
Plans from HomeServe start at just $4.99 a month.
Vehicle breakdowns are costly, but with Endurance, you could never pay out of pocket for a costly repair again.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
Don't wait. Visit EnduranceWarranty.com for $300 off any plan.
The debate continues.
A waterline break will cost over $2,800 to fix. Get HomeServe to save money on repairs.
Want this guy doing the job? We'll send a qualified contractor quickly so you get HomeServe for less hassle.
Plans from HomeServe start at just $4.99 a month.
I have a structured settlement and I call J.G. Wentworth 877 cash now.
I have an annuity, but I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth 877 cash now.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Call J.G. Wentworth 877.
Call 877 cash now to get a $100 gift card for a free quote.
Vehicle breakdowns are costly.
It started making some really weird noises.
If your check engine light comes on tomorrow, the repair could easily cost thousands.
Here's that transmission.
But with Endurance, you could never pay out of pocket for a costly repair again.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
$1,400. Endurance paid it.
Who's going to pay for your next car repair? You